Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany and this is Welcome to Your Spiritual Awakening. In a previous video, I did discuss the signs and symptoms that you might be undergoing a spiritual awakening or just have undergone one, or you are literally on the brink of having one. And to sum it up in the Cliff Notes version of this for you, you are going to change completely. You're not going to be able to eat anything. You're going to throw up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're going to have rapid weight loss because of that. Everything tastes like metal or copper or something like that. You're going to be diagnosed with 100 things by 100 different doctors, and then they're going to treat you for these symptoms. You're not going to be able to get out of bed. You're going to be just fine one day, and then you're going to go to bed and be sick and literally die, probably, and come back. Or maybe everyone doesn't have to physically die and come back. Maybe there is, an exception to the rule. And the exception is whether you physically die or just break through this side of what you're going through. This is a spiritual awakening, and you need to break through. You're on the brink of it, but you really need to get through. In order to do that, you have to die. And die, you can use it, ironically, as a metaphor. So, caterpillar to a butterfly, monarch. Not going there just yet, but I will. And as soon as you have this morph or metamorphosis happen, then you need to let go of that very last piece that is preventing you from having your spiritual awakening. You might be wondering, what is that last piece? That last piece is fear. And I'm going to put it to you the same way every time. It's like this. You go to bed sick one day, and then you can't get out of bed, and everything that you used to like or love, you hate. Your phones, anybody else's electronic devices go off around you. They just go haywire. You can literally feel the vibration under your bare feet on the floor. Your bed's going to start shaking. People are going to maybe diagnose you with mental illness or put you on antidepressants, because if you really take a hard look at these signs and symptoms, they really do line up with depression. But you need to understand, depression is part of the awakening process. That's one of the fundamental elements that we have to undergo, a lot like the grieving process. Instead of acceptance at the end of that, you have to let go of the fear. And if that fear means that you literally have to die and unlearn everything you've ever known, you need hope. You're going to come back. Even if you actually physically die, you're going to come back again and again and again. But this time on this earth right now, for this exact spiritual awakening, this is a mass awakening on a very large scale. Literally half of the people on earth right now. So while you're being treated for depression and you're taking antidepressants, what you don't realize is you're actually lowering your own vibration. And there's a lot of things that I need you to understand about frequencies and vibrations, and I will go into great length details on all of these cool things. All right, back to the signs and symptoms. You are going to have the literal worst headache you've ever had in your life. And headache is putting it very, very mildly. And this is so far surpassing a migraine. I'm going to call it, only because I know what it feels like to have a spinal pressure type of headache, which is when you have spinal fluid in your brain or even fluid on your brain, and it creates a pressure. This migraine is not going to let up for months. You can't stand light, you can't stand TV, you won't touch your phone, you won't eat anything, you won't drink anything. Everything that you used to like is dead and gone and over, and you hate it. So what do you care about? All of a sudden you have this understanding of things. you start to behave differently. You drop people without question that you've known your whole life for no reason other than letting go of that fear. And it's not dramatic or chaotic, not that piece of it. These people that you're going to let go of in your life is because you have an understanding that they are not helping you raise your frequency and surpass that barrier to literally having your actual spiritual awakening. And with this awakening, if you are smart, you will pray for wisdom, because wisdom gives you knowledge and all of the other things that you need to have in order to understand this from a wise perspective. So those people who pray for selfish things or needs or whatever, you know what, they're sheep, they are asleep. I say that all the time. I don't care. Judge me all you want. I'll never judge you. Either way, it's fine. So I'm an indigo and a starseed. And if you are awakening right now and any of those words, and you're still watching, then you are too. So let me help you. Next up, you are going to become traumatized in a lot of different ways. All these traumas have to happen. And they're not in any of these signs and symptoms are not in any particular order, with the exception of understanding fear, surpassing in transitioning and morphing, having that metamorphosis from who we think we are and everything we think we know, because we were forced to digest that information in educational institutions, and also about money and currency and everything like that. By that, those things will have to happen. All the other ones don't really have much of an order to them. You're going to go crazy. You're going to feel like you're going crazy. You are literally going to walk around out loud and say, I have gone crazy. I've lost my mind. I'm serious. I've lost my mind. I don't even know what's wrong. I don't understand it. Oh my God, I've lost my mind. And I'm not kidding, y'all. I am not kidding. Okay, so maybe you die spiritually. Maybe you die on a metamorphosis level, like a caterpillar to a butterfly. And monarch, again, I just triggered you with that word, and I'm going to leave it right there and drop it. So when you begin to awaken, you will be sick in bed for a long time. And after you feel like you have become demonically possessed and your bed is shaking and the ground under your bare feet, even in your own house, is quite literally shaking. You can feel vibration. You can feel and manifest energy. You won't touch your phone and you don't want to watch TV and you won't like anything that you've ever liked before. Why? Because you can feel the frequency and the vibrations and the radiation coming off of it. And you know that radiation is bad for you. So it is an instant repellent to anyone undergoing a spiritual awakening. Your body's going to hurt from head to toe. You're going to be diagnosed for quite literally, if you could just whip out a book of it's kind of funny, like go on the internet and type in your symptoms and every one of them says you're going to die, right? Okay, well, you are, be it physically or just by morphing from a caterpillar to a butterfly. You need to realize you're in a shell. This body that we live in, this is a shell. This is not your first time around. I don't know if it's going to be your last time around, and I don't even know if you're going to remember. But the thing about starseeds and the thing about indigos and the awakening process that's happening right here, right now in 2019, that you need to understand on top of those basic fundamentals that I haven't even really touched on yet, is that you're going to all of a sudden have this desire to drop anything and everything that's bad and unhealthy. But trust me, you aren't going to eat or drink anything, even water, you're just going to keep going back to the hospital and back to the doctor, and they're going to run tests, and every single one's going to diagnose you with something else, and they're going to treat you for it. Well, taking a look at all of those symptoms that I've already named, we've got sudden weight gain or weight loss, sudden loss in things that we used to be interested in. All of a sudden, we feel like we have a higher purpose. We don't want to get out of bed. We can't sleep. We sleep too much. We can't move. We feel paralyzed. We can't breathe. Our anxiety is really high. And probably like a million other things. And those things, by any medical professional, or even just Google it, you will find out those are all symptoms of depression. So naturally, they're going to prescribe you, that's right, antidepressants. Also, you're going to start convulsing. I was put on anti-seizure medications before, no, actually after the second heart attack, the time where I actually died and also remembered it, just a few months ago. So, yeah, your devices are going to go haywire. You are absolutely going to become sort of demonically possessed, or so it seems. You're going to see things. You're going to find out later those are actually your spirit guides. And your fear, and the law of attraction says that, if I fear this, just for the example of fear, if I fear this from happening, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I'm always afraid and or worried that it's going to happen, and it is a persistent, ongoing, I am so afraid of whatever, then all you're actually doing is literally manifesting that fear to become reality. Now, reality is a tricky word, because reality as you know it is not real. Everything you think you know about literally anything is completely wrong. It's upside down. It's backwards. It's inverted. And yeah, we live in a parallel universe in which we can bend time and travel back and forth, in which very specific historical events that used to be available to research are all of a sudden being deleted off the internet, and now they are also being called the Mandela effect. And this one is going to blow your mind. I'm going to make a whole other video on that, but real quick, the Mandela effect, here's a prime example. Y'all remember that book that we read as kids, The Berenstain Bears, right? Okay, so the Mandela effect is where a whole bunch of people all see the same thing at the same time, and they all agree that this is what it said, or this is what it did, or what everybody watched it. We witnessed it. It was like based on, literally Nelson Mandela. Some people will tell you that he died at age 80 in prison. Some other people will tell you that they specifically remember him being freed from prison and watching his literal funeral on TV, which I think it was I know it was in the 2000s. I can't think of his age. I think he was around 80 or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, that's the Mandela effect. You've got basically everyone in the whole wide world recalling this thing. So back to the Berenstain Bears for a minute. Any of us who ever read any of the children's books or watched those cartoons, and this is just one or two examples. I will seriously go into this more because it's going to blow your mind. But Berenstain Bears never actually existed. Google it. YouTube it. No. It was called the Berenstain Bears. What? Yeah. It never, ever, ever, ever said Golden Books, the Berenstain Bears, with an ear, an I, or an I, or E. It said Berenstain. The Berenstain family. Alright. I'm going to give you another example. Skechers. Skechers are shoes. This one really blows my mind too. Skechers is never and has never actually been called Skechers. Sketchers never existed in the history of anything. Is it Skechers? Yeah, I think it's Skechers. Skechers. There is no such thing as Skechers. Only Skechers. Blown your mind yet? I can do a whole other video just on the Mandela effect. Now, the reason why I threw those bits and pieces in is because, as I tell you guys in every single video, this is your awakening process. I'm going to be using my own prime examples, and I'm going to be using every single thing that I have fortunately been able to learn before it was removed off of, the internet, social media, and is probably now being called the Mandela effect, where basically everyone in the whole wide world agrees that we used to have Skechers tennis shoes or even own a pair. And look at the box. It says Skechers. For real. Crazy. Alright, so back to your spiritual awakening for a minute. Like I said, all of these things that you are going to go through, they are going to suck. It's going to be extremely painful. You're going to lose time. You're not going to be able to sleep. If you sleep, you're going to have these crazy dreams, which you're going to find out later is actually astral traveling. You're going to all of a sudden have a complete understanding of everything, but not a minute before you lose your mind. Yeah. That probably was kind of the most shocking thing that I wish one person had told me. So by me telling you this, maybe I can spare you. Just don't do anything about it, please. I don't want you to become suicidal or something. It will pass. It is one of the literal last steps to break through that barrier and become enlightened, illuminated, awakened. So, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode of Your Spiritual Awakening. I'm Tiffany H. Lewis. Links will be dropped down in the video, and I will be back shortly with the next video. And during this awakening process, I've already said it multiple times, but I'm going to say it every time. When I start talking fast and I start throwing words that don't seem to belong there, I'm doing it on purpose. I'm triggering you the way that, for instance, I have a radio show. And every time I record an episode of my radio show, one of my radio shows, I play this thing called... gosh, I just had like a blank brain, but anyway, binaural beats. And depending on, okay, so if I want you to pay attention to my show, and it's an hour-long show, and I'm playing binaural beats at a certain frequency, some call it the God frequency, there's an ongoing debate that it's either 434 or 440 hertz or gigahertz or whatever. Who cares? All I needed to say is royalty-free, and stay calm, release anxiety, let go of stress, and just kind of chillax and listen to the show. And I'm not promoting my show right now. I'm just letting you know that you need to be comfortable with these things. They're going to happen to you. I promise. You're going to feel like you're going crazy. I wish somebody had told me that. You're going to see things, you're going to hear things, your covers are going to be pulled off your bed. You're going to see shadow people, which you will later find out are actually your spirit guides. And I'll do a whole other video on how to get to know your spirit guides and develop, a conversation with them And any psychic powers or gifts or abilities that you have now, expect them to be heightened by a bajillion%. I say this all the time. I can literally see air. I can sit in a room. Sound bothers me a lot because I don't hear the sound of whatever's playing on the television. I hear the frequency and the vibration at which it's vibrating on, at what level, coming through the TV, sort of like static, and it drives me crazy. So I have to sit in a very quiet space. Doesn't matter if it's light or dark. I kind of prefer dark-ish, kind of, something like that. This is a Himalayan, well, I would say Himalayan salt lamp, but it's one of these salt lamps where it comes with like all these little individual pieces of rocks. I have another one in another room. And by the way, if you don't have one, get one, because they're very, 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 very helpful during your spiritual awakening, because just like candle warmers and just like I don't know if they're called dehumidifiers or whatever they're called, air purifiers, I think, and you can add peppermint to them. Certain scents and smells and feelings that you will be drawn to all of a sudden out of nowhere, just like you will subjects that you all of a sudden have an interest in learning everything about everything about everything about. All right, well, here we go. You are well on your way. If not, you've already passed through the barrier, and this is your spiritual awakening, and I am here to guide you and help you. And most importantly, I'm here to make sure that you don't have to endure everything that I endured, and don't physically have to die and come back just to remember. Remembering is key. Through repetition, the law of attraction, and a literal spiritual awakening, you will become enlightened, illuminated, completely aware of everything, have infinite knowledge of everything if you are a starseed / indigo, with usually always characteristics of rainbow and crystal children, which we'll go into in another episode. But that's all for this episode. I'll see you guys again next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, follow, subscribe, and hit the notification button so I can continue guiding you through your awakening process. And again, for those of you who are still questioning this is a spiritual awakening, not one where I am degrading any god or gods or books or Bibles. No, I'm telling you that if a Bible gives you hope, and hope works for you, but you're God-fearing, well, that's a problem, because you can't have fear to be fully awake. You can't, and you won't, once you figure out that everything that you think you know is completely wrong, upside down, backwards, inverted, and etc. Now listen, I prayed just like you guys do. It's just that I prayed forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I had this nagging feeling over me at all times. It drove me crazy. I said I knew I had a bigger purpose on this earth. And right when I thought I figured out what it was, my life's mission, oh no. Nope. I came home, got sick, stayed in bed, died twice over, and then now I'm into about my 3rd month of this round of my spiritual awakening. And as I keep saying, it's a constantly evolving thing. So the more you learn, the more you watch these videos, the more you research on any little trigger words that I threw in there on purpose to capture your attention so that you can look up everything about that one thing. Again, it doesn't matter which order it happens in. You're going to learn about thousands of things if they're still available. because YouTube and everybody's shutting down all the channels for talking about this kind of stuff. So whatever, expect it to get shut down. But again, I'm gonna drop the link right down there for my Facebook page, and I have no problem talking about this stuff. And I'm here with open arms as love. That's what we are. That's what indigos are. That's what starseeds are. We are love. For real. All right, guys. See you next time.